Hey there and welcome. Now, if you work in an automotive store, you know we're surrounded by some pretty powerful and useful products. But here's the big question. How do we handle them safely? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. We'll be looking at personal protective equipment, or PPE, and the safety data sheet. These are going to be your two most important tools for staying safe on the job. So to see how this all plays out in the real world, let's meet Lynn. She's an employee at a store called Automax. She's just doing her usual daily walkthrough, checking the displays, and she spots a couple of things on the shelf that just don't look right. And believe it or not, this is exactly where workplace safety really begins, with a sharp eye. All right, so we're going to stick with Lynn and see how she handles this. First up, we'll identify the hazard she found. Then we're going to decode what makes something a dangerous good in the first place. After that, we'll get into how to read a safety data sheet, or SDS. Then we'll cover your personal protective equipment, your PPE. And to wrap things up, we'll go through the super important steps for what to do if there's a chemical spill. So what did Lynn actually find? Well, take a look. There's a bottle of windscreen washer fluid just teetering on the edge of a top shelf. And right next to it, an aerosol can with its label completely torn off. Now, these might seem like small things, but they're actually serious workplace health and safety issues. I mean, that bottle could easily fall and hit someone. And that can, without a label, who knows what's inside or how to handle it safely? It's a total mystery, and that's dangerous. And this whole situation brings up a really key question, right? What exactly are chemicals and dangerous goods? Well, in a store like Automax, it's pretty simple. They're basically any products that could cause harm to you, to other people, to property, or even to the environment if they're not handled or stored the right way. And trust me, these kinds of goods are, well, they're everywhere in an auto store. Just think about it. You've got your pressurized aerosols, like brake cleaner. You've got automotive fluids, like engine oil, which can really irritate your skin. Then there are all the cleaning chemicals, degreasers, and of course, batteries with acid inside. Even some adhesives and sealants count. Now, the key thing to remember is that all of this stuff is perfectly safe as long as it's handled correctly. Okay, so that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we find out how to handle them correctly? The answer is the safety data sheet, or as you'll hear it called, the SDS. This is, without a doubt, the single most important document for any chemical product. Think of it as your complete guide to chemical safety. So what's in an SDS? Basically, it's got all the critical safety and handling info you could possibly need for a product. And here's something you absolutely have to know. By law, an SDS must be available in your workplace for every single chemical product you sell or use. Every single one. It might be in a binder, it could be on a computer, but the bottom line is you have to be able to get to it. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, when you first see an SDS, it can look a little intimidating. I mean, it's got 16 sections. But here's the good news. For your role, you really only need to focus on a few key parts. Let's break them down. Section 1 is for identification. That's just the product name and who to call in an emergency. Section 2 is hazard ID. Is it flammable? Is it toxic? That kind of thing. Section 7 covers handling and storage. Pretty straightforward. And then there's Section 8, which is so important. That's exposure and PPE. It tells you exactly what personal protective equipment you need to wear. So that last section we mentioned, Section 8, was all about PPE. And that brings us perfectly to our next topic. Now, personal protective equipment, or PPE, isn't just about looking the part. It's your first and honestly your most important line of defense whenever you're working with chemical products. So what is PPE? It's simply the clothing and equipment that protects you from specific hazards in the workplace. And I really want you to remember this. If the SDS says you need to wear it, or if it's a workplace rule, it is not a choice. It's a mandatory requirement, and it's there to keep you safe. All right, let's start from the ground up. Literally, we're talking about closed-toe footwear. This is a non-negotiable. You have to wear them at all times on the sales floor. Why? Because they're your basic everyday protection against stuff falling off shelves, rolling trolleys, and, of course, any potential spills. Next up, let's talk about your hands. Protective gloves. You absolutely must wear these when you're handling things like car batteries. You do not want to mess with battery acid. You also need them for any product that has one of those chemical hazard symbols on the label. And here's the golden rule. If you're ever unsure, just check the SDS. It'll tell you what you need. Okay, this one is huge. Your eyes are incredibly vulnerable. So safety glasses are required anytime, and I mean anytime, there's a risk of a chemical splash, a spray, or even vapor. Just think about when you're handling an aerosol can, or as we're about to talk about, when you're cleaning up a spill. Protecting your eyes is critical. And last but not least, we have high visibility clothing. Now, you probably won't need this on the main sales floor, but if you are ever working in an area with moving vehicles, think the delivery bay or the outdoor forecourt, then this gear is absolutely essential. You have to be seen. Okay, quick recap. You know how to spot the hazards, you know how to find the info you need in an SDS, and you know what PPE to wear. But what happens when something actually goes wrong? What do you do? Let's talk about the exact steps to take when you're faced with a chemical spill. When there's a spill, there is a clear 6-step procedure to follow. No guesswork needed. Step 1, stop. Just stop. Alert everyone around you and do not walk through it. Step 2, do not touch. Don't even think about trying to clean it without the correct PPE. Step 3, contain. Block off the area with signs or barriers. Step 4, and this one is so important, report. Tell your supervisor immediately. Step 5, follow the SDS. That sheet will tell you exactly how to clean it up. And finally, step 6, document. You'll need to fill out an incident report form. So, when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? It's this. Safety isn't about some one-off heroic action. It's all about the small, consistent habits you build every day. Things like checking your labels, knowing where to find an SDS and what to look for, and always using the right PPE. These are the simple things, really, but they're what create a safe environment for you, for your colleagues, and for every customer who walks through the door. All right, let's finish up with one last question, just to make sure this really sticks. Imagine this. You walk out onto the sales floor and you see a chemical spill. What is the absolute first thing you do? The answer is simply stop. That one word, that single action, kicks off the entire safety procedure and stops the problem from getting any worse. Stay safe out there.